budget workshop meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. on October 19th, 2023. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Supervisor Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Councilwoman Freeman. Councilman Perdicone.
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo.
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are night 2 of our budget workshop, and we'll get right into it tonight, starting with building maintenance.
Okay.
Diana, can,
We're going to go a little out of order and do building maintenance first.
Yep.
And then move on to parks. So the building maintenance budget, which covers 4 buildings, including the town hall, public safety building, library, and community center, is an increase of 1% or $9,728 to the levy. Equipment and services and supplies categories are decreasing by about $69,000 or 11.4%. Primarily due to the community center CAM fees being reduced based on the current billings and contracted services within the community center. Most notably, the cleaning service was canceled. The decrease is offset by an increased salaries and benefits of $54,716 or 12.93%.
okay, thank you. Darwin, do you have anything to add?
Just for the elevators, I mean, gonna be I'm sorry. They have to be repaired, the elevators, because they've been leaking a lot of oil. And I gotta make a schedule, so they will gonna be all repairs by the end of November.
Okay.
In this building?
Yes.
Is that something different than what we voted on the other night?
No.
We voted on that $5,000 for the elevator the other night. Is that for the
Yeah,
repairs?
that's what it is, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
don't worry about it because it's not in.
Okay then.
Just next year.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, so we're all set with that. We don't need to add an annual,
Okay.
that's not an annual charge, right?
No.
Okay.
But that's just something they're gonna maintain. They got issues with some of the elevators.
No.
Okay, great. All right, anybody have any questions for Darwin?
I have a quick question. Sir, are you also responsible for the exterior maintenance of this building, like the brick and mortar and roof, or just the inside?
No, I mean, great champion. I mean, if anything leaking, yes, I do. And any repair, I gotta get in contact with Great Champion because he the one that doing the bid contract, calling the contractor for repairs.
So Greg Champion is really the one who oversees the exterior of this
Yeah.
building, including the brick and mortar and front steps,
Yes.
things
Yes,
like
it
that?
is. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right. Good job, Darwin.
Thank you.
Thank
Easy.
you.
Okay, next up, we would have Parks and Cemetery.
Okay, so the parks and historian budgets combined are a 3.1% decrease to the levy of $33,000 from the 2023 adopted budget. The overall expenses are decreasing by $51,500, largely due to a decreased need for staffing at the boat launch. Revenues are lower than last year due to sales of equipment that is not being repeated in the 2024 budget year. Do you want me to go on with cemetery?
If I could just hit parks real quick. So I just had some stuff from Commissioner McGee, and that's obviously with our ARPA-funded McAvoy turf. That's also going to include some charges there for your yearly maintenance on the turf in the field and also the building and facility. And as the Madam Comptroller mentioned about the loss of the Irondequoit State Bay Park, that is no longer an expense of the town. That's all I have for parks.
Okay, anyone have any questions regarding parks?
Can I ask what the $7,000 of contracted services at Camp Eastman cover?
The $7,000, I believe, was going through, after the reconstruction and all that, would be maintenance of the current buildings. So that would be like the decks, materials of the decks, supplies, to keep the 2 cabins we have now maintained. So I know one of them needs some deck work, one of them needs a little roof work, so that's where a lot of that money will come from, the funding will come from.
And does that also include daily cleaning of those facilities?
The cleaning should come from a separate budget, the actual maintenance budget of Camp Eastman.
Okay, anyone else? Maintenance of turf at McAvoy. Are we doing the, do we get the brush and all that, to keep the turf?
As far as I know, we're going to be working with a couple different agencies or companies working on that turf.
Okay,
As far as I know, we did not get that piece of equipment we needed.
okay.
I did not see that in the budget, so,
And the other one is, the one that we have at the facility right now is not usable.
correct. Yeah, not for that type of turf, no.
Okay,
So how often do they have to maintain the turf though? You know?
I believe it's once a year.
Oh, okay.
They go through, they just make any modifications, any upgrades, any maintenance of it, so obviously we can keep it.
Repairs or anything like
Exactly,
that?
yeah.
So once a
Yep.
year they go through it?
Yep, with the,
A certain type of machinery that does that?
yes, yep. Goes through, kind of grooms it, kind of, again, kind of keeps it
fluffed.
fluffed, pliable.
Yeah,
Yes,
keeps all the beads and stuff.
exactly.
Once those beads get matted down, that's when the compact becomes dangerous, so.
And do we still have to treat it with herbicides and pesticides, or is the new turf more resilient?
I don't believe there's any type of chemical maintenance to it at all.
Nice.
So
There
I
used
believe
to
it's
be.
just, as the supervisor mentioned, just the beads and the machines that go through and kind of fluff it up, maintain it. If there's any damage to it, they'll come in, they'll repair it. A lot of it, thank goodness is still under warranty. So if there is something that comes up in the near future, the warranty would cover it.
I have another question, Mr. Supervisor. I'm just trying to, in my own brain, determine where, if you could answer this question, Mr. Albert, where would the line item be for maintenance of the exterior of this building? Would it be here? It's not in the buildings? I'm not sure. I see a masonry line, but it's zeroed out. I'm just, like, if we wanted to fix the front steps, or we wanted to fix a sidewalk, or point the concrete block, where is that in the budget?
Speaking over at McAvoy,
This
or
building?
this building, the exterior to us, to me, is new. I'll have to dig through and find out, again, with the maintenance of the exterior. I know some of the landscaping and stuff we took care of. I'll have to get back to you on that, my apologies.
Oh, no worries.
So-
It might not have been in a budget for past commissioners sitting at that table, but I think it needs to be. That's why I keep trying to find
And
it.
it may be in another line item, it could be under a DPW account. I would have to go back and find out, so
Okay.
my apologies.
No worries. Thank you.
I mean, I might surmise, like, if you had to repoint this building, it would be more of a capital expense that probably be more significant than a budget item.
But if
You know-
we were doing budgeted maintenance on an annual basis, we probably wouldn't have an exorbitant cost now. Just like at home, I'm just wondering what kind of maintenance we're doing on the exterior of the building.
I mean, technically, a brick building shouldn't need a lot of maintenance. It would be only after an extended period of time where you might have to go back and, repoint or replace or maintain. And then it becomes, it's kind of a bigger project, a contracted type expense that, that's my experience.
When's the last time this was done, do you know?
I don't know that it would, brick, I'm looking at buildings right now that are hundreds of years old and they need to be repointed, so it's not like something you have to go and touch it up every year.
No, but it should be done. Where there's a void, there will be water. Where water freezes, it will expand, and then there'll be a bigger void, and then there'll be more damage. So hopefully, we can figure out a way to maintain the building. It's a beautiful building.
Okay, anybody else with parks? John, you good?
Yeah, I'm fine. We're gonna do, we're talking about doing some upgrades down at Camp Eastman, so some of these line items, whatever the maintenance on some of those buildings, probably won't come in effect, so depends on what we plan on doing
Correct, yes, it depends on the plan and how we go about the refurbishing and/or replacement. Yep,
No, I'm good.
Okay.
thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the next.
Okay, the 2024 cemetery budget proposes an increase from last year of $5,885, or 10.5% to the tax levy. Revenues are consistent year over year. Expenses are estimated to increase by 2.1%, or $4,885, due to increased wages and benefits of $13,655, offset by reduced expenses for supplies and services.
Okay, Mr. Albert?
The ARPA-funded columbarium is a new and exciting project that came into our cemetery this year. It is increasing revenue in an otherwise maxed-out cemetery. So the columbarium is definitely bringing in some good revenue for the town.
Great. Do we know where we're at with sales for that, as far as like percentage of space still available?
That I do not have, but I will email the board and keep them posted on it.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Anyone on cemetery? Give everyone a minute to look through.
What is primarily tracked under contracted services with the cemetery?
when we contracted services, what we've done before is maintenance on the road. Coming in, there's some things that we had, like oil and stone a few years ago to maintain the road, so we're not really like having it cracked or losing the road structure itself. But I can also, same thing, I can also look a little more deep into it and get back to the board on that. So my apologies on that.
Diana, didn't we talk about contract? We had these questions. I thought we had an answer to these questions with the contracted services for some of these when we met. So, do you remember? Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'll look back at my notes, and I apologize for not having that. But
In general, I mean, road maintenance is not tracked under, is that tracked under contracted? I mean, do we self-perform those?
If we were to bring in an actual oil and stone, the actual oil and stone company, that'd be through contracted services for the supplies for the stone, the oil, and then obviously their operation.
Right.
We would only supply the vehicles for them and just transport the stone, but they would handle everything else, if that is part of it. But again, we'll look into it and all that, so my apologies.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, may I ask a question?
yeah, absolutely.
I understand that some really thoughtful work went into reinventing some of the beds down there and getting rid of some old growth and not over mulching anymore, which allowed us to save quite a bit of money in mulch and then turn those savings into things like really awesome garbage cans for residents to use and a lot of other really important cost savings. So kudos to the folks that had that forethought to make that all happen.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? John, Peter? Good. All right, we'll move on to, we'll be moving on to Public Works.
Okay,
Are we looking at
so
the
we'll divide
historian
this.
What's that?
The historian, are we looking at this?
That's under Parks?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any questions about historian budget. So it shouldn't be any changes to the historian budget, right?
It's just this static?
What's
The
that?
historian budget actually decreased. A lot of the supplies weren't needed, the lines weren't used this year, so it decreased,
14%.
right?
Are the utilities for the building? Thank you.
Okay, Public Works.
Okay, so Public Works we'll divide it up a little bit, so we'll do the Public Works general funds first. So within the general fund portion of Public Works, a 0.25% decrease to the levy is proposed. Functions within this group include Public Works Administration, Engineering, the Operations Center, Communications, Traffic Control, Sidewalk Plowing and Maintenance, Solid Waste, and the Tree Program. Expenditure decreases of $100,383 are offset by reduced revenues of $95,350, resulting in the decrease of $5,000. The decreased revenue results from the 2023 sale of equipment not being repeated in 2024. Across all functions, the salary and benefits are increasing by $12,776, or 1.3%. Services and supplies are decreasing by $65,944, or 13.1%. And the debt is decreasing as a result of retiring capital leases, and a new proposed lease for sidewalk plow is included in the 2024 budget.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Albert?
We'll start with solid waste. Actually, I'll go right into Public Works. The department will continue to maintain sidewalks, roads, trees, drainage, and sewers. Under solid waste, we'll continue to see revenue from grinding woody debris. However, we will need to pay a little for our concrete removal that is generated by our sidewalk and drainage crew, which would reflect in the budget.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Is this a good
This is-
time to talk about the copier again?
Oh, the plotter?
Yes.
Plotter was, the resolution was removed for that, wasn't it?
Yes, it was withdrawn.
Yeah. I think Kevin was,
So I know,
the copier leasing in here, that's
that's a different.
5485, is that or something else?
that'd probably be something else. It may be included in there, but I know we have two copiers at the DPW, one for our dispatch communication center, and then one for the foreman and administrative staff.
Which department you looking at, Kimmy?
The admin budget?
So in the admin budget, under the copier leasing, that is currently in the budget because it was to be brought before the board. So we did include it in the budget. So if that's not moving forward, that can be reduced.
Okay, so that is that big printer.
The plotter, yes.
Plotter, okay.
So as far as that, if I may, speak with Mr. Labar, we are going to have a rep from the company as recommended come down. We're going to kind of talk to him about our requests, what we need. The issue right now with the company is we need something on the fly. If we need something at 24-hour, less than a 24-hour notice, if we need something at 2 in the morning, whether it be from a disaster, whether it be the community cupboard using our building and they need signs made right away, how can the company accommodate us in that situation? The nice thing is they can do a lot of our scanning off-site, but if we need, again, our big thing is if we need something on the fly, how can they accommodate that?
How
So
often does that happen, do you think?
It all depends. There could be times where we need maps right away. There might be times where they can wait a little while, a day or two, whatever. That's one thing I'd like that we're going to sit down with this rep and kind of find out a little more. So we'll have our administrative assistant with them and also our GIS technician, kind of his demands, and then hopefully maybe Michelle from the building department on kind of what they might need on the fly or they might need right away. And again, until we meet with the company, with the representative from the company, we don't have a lot of those answers, or a lot of those questions answered yet. So as we meet with them, obviously we'll fill the board in of what the results are. And then if we are requesting a plotter or if the company's going to be able to suffice what we need, then we'll be all set.
So I'm just curious how often that happens, because I'm wondering if in our existing MOUs and our relationships with other municipalities, et cetera, if it didn't happen that often, that you needed something, is it a reach to Penfield? Is it something through the coalition? Are there some existing partnerships that we have in the community that maybe we could rely on?
Sure, that's something we can definitely look into. That I don't know because we've never had to. We've always had our plotter for the last 10 years, if not longer, that I know of. So I would have to do some more research on that again with Mr. Labar and,
I mean, I don't think you'll ever satisfy the 2 a.m. need for a plot, but
it's happened unfortunately with windstorms and flooding and stuff like that, so.
I mean, I'd almost get an iPad and you can have it on an iPad and zoom into whatever you want, but for $700. But, I mean, on-demand copy service, there's 3 or 4 houses in Rochester that do that. large scale plots, and you can send them a PDF and have it within an hour.
Perfect. That's why it'd be definitely interesting to meet with the rep and find out again what we can do and what we can save and where we can go from here, so.
And I will say, as a company that owns a plotter, it's down more than it's
Yep.
up,
Yep, yeah, I'm just a little leery about reinvesting.
no matter how reliable.
I
Agreed.
understand. We've been lucky with ours. Unfortunately, it did pass a couple months ago. But again, we've been pretty lucky with ours with the maintenance and the scheduling and all that. I mean, we use it here and there. I mean, the building department uses it a lot. Again, DPW, our maps, the police use it a lot. So it would all depend, again, what the rep says and what we can
Yeah,
come
we'll be
back with.
anxious to see how that conversation goes and what alternatives might be
Yes,
presented.
I agree. Yes, thank you.
Tommy, as everyone looks through the budget here, do you have any other key points that you would like to mention?
I do for trees, if
Yep.
we're on to trees from solid waste. So a decrease in tree contracting service, but slight increase in funds to plant trees in-house. We have significantly shortened the wait time for tree replacement in our right-of-ways over the past 2 years.
Okay.
So doing a lot in-house is obviously saved from contracted services. So luckily, we have our own arborist in-house as well as our own planting team that's actually able to go out and, again, take care of these trees in a proper way as required and save some money, obviously, on the side.
So, Tommy, we switched from contracted landscaping. Are we going, last year we did it ourselves, are we going back to contracted landscaping?
As far as landscaping, we'll probably be going out with a request for purchase pretty soon for just a few sites here and there. We did do a lot in-house this year. Sometimes we got a little overwhelmed with crews having other things that they had to run into and all that. So we do plan on doing our own certain buildings and all that. I know that we're talking about McAvoy, some stuff down at Camp Eastman with the park staff in and around this campus, the DPW and some of the other outlying gardens, 590 and all that. So some stuff we will keep in-house and some stuff we will probably have to send out an RFP pretty soon.
Yeah, so if you were overwhelmed with some spots, that's the type of stuff.
Yes, yep. And we'll have a foreman in charge of it to oversee that it's getting done per our plan, per our requests.
And even the landscaping companies that we've had over the last few years have been overwhelmed too. So wasn't there an
Yes.
idea to even source that out more so that one landscaping company wasn't
Yep.
overwhelmed as well? So
Yes, yep. So that's why we take some in,
Yep.
some of our own, since we can get a lot of the stuff at New York State price and all that, so that obviously it saves money in the long run. But also, we can definitely accommodate our facilities and again, certain other outlined areas and just have them concentrate on areas that we just can't
okay.
get to.
So we're looking at maybe having more than one outside contractor working along with our DPW crews. Is there any chance that when you sort of begin to pull together who would be covering what, we could see that? Like, I'd want to make sure things like the town hall grounds were covered. And so if you guys are getting overwhelmed, maybe that's a place to contract out so that it looks great for market, it looks great for 4th of July. It is our home base.
Absolutely, and I agree, yes.
So high visibility areas would be the target. Yeah, and then segmenting that up and dividing it so that each one is met. I mean,
Absolutely.
our landscapers are feeling the same pinch everybody is with employees. So, I saw the one landscape company at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night doing the roundabouts, and
Yep.
the owner of the company actually out there doing
Out
it.
there on
So,
the equipment.
that's
Yes.
well, money's money. It can be overwhelming at times, and things fall behind. So.
And then just to add for trees, we are using that Tree Keeper software, which has been very beneficial. Our arborist tree foreman is now able on a laptop to go out, do the inventory, do all the recommendations from our volunteers study that was done. And then he's able to actually get a picture of the tree, bring it back, do what he's got to do, and then also category and inventory the trees with the new program.
So, Mr. Albert, we talked at some point in the year about potentially having some additional support with some of the tree work as well, so that now you've identified where there's aging trees, potentially, I don't want to say hazardous trees, but potentially in the future hazardous trees, that we had someone else that we could 1-800 call to support some of that tree work. Is that in the budget? I'm not seeing that.
I don't believe so. I know some stuff had to get removed. So I know some of our contracted services with tree trimming and all that had to be removed for now. So once we reevaluate, see where we are, we can always,
So maybe we
Maybe
can save
propose it.
some money on the plotter and get our tree people supported. That would
something
be a
we-
wonderful thing.
something we can definitely look into, yes, because obviously we have a beautiful town,
Yes.
nice tree line streets and all that, so we want to obviously continue that.
The paper in the plotter probably kills a few trees, but
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there, Pete, but thanks for that. Can I ask another question about our solid waste?
Yes,
So it's probably in here, but it's just not really descriptive that our solid waste contract also includes recycling. Yes?
yes.
Okay.
Also includes-
Careful, because I'm
also-
going to hold you to this.
No, hold on, I'm
Also
sorry.
includes
I'm
what?
wicked,
I
I'm
didn't-
wicked.
Recycling.
all right.
Recycling, because I, forgive me, but I noticed this, like, there's a trash can over there. But there's only a trash can.
We have recycling because we get billed extra when it's not done correctly.
Oh, so maybe we need some in-house education.
It's mostly from our events that happens. So
Gotcha.
in-house, we're good.
Okay.
It's the weeks that we have
Market and stuff?
market. Market's not the worst, but special events. When there's a major special event, it usually is when our charges come. So, but
Okay.
normal recycling is done, and it's not contaminated, I guess is the word I'll use. But when we end up doing the 4th of July is the big one. So it usually costs us a little bit extra money because of the
Specialized
general
purchase.
public, doesn't, so
Okay.
we have to do a better job at sorting at where possible, I guess, during those events or just,
Educating our residents.
yeah.
Yep. Or
But we do
making it clear where to recycle at those events might be part of it, like the garbage and the recycling can look very similar at a big public event.
Oh, I agree.
John?
No, I'm good.
Good. Peter?
I'm good, thank you.
Jimmy?
So moving on to the highway funds.
Sure.
The highway funds propose an increase of $244,904, or 6.88% to the levy, resulting from expenditure increases of $225,000. Primarily, salaries are increasing by $206,000, or 8.5%. Services and supplies are increasing by $28,000. And that can be linked to increased costs for fuel, asphalt, and salt. Within the debt service group for the highway funds, there is a Seneca Road project in the CIP, so there's interest budgeted for that borrowing, and also there are 2 new proposed plow trucks within, to be leased within the highway funds.
We just talked about Seneca Road, right? That was up to 700. There
Yes.
was, right?
700 additional.
700.
700 additional.
Additional, yeah. So I think the estimate for that project is just under $1 million. So at some point, we had already,
Slightly up.
So you're looking for 2 new
Yeah.
plow trucks?
Yes.
Is that addition to what we have, or gonna take place of older vehicles?
So what we'll do is, and also towards the revenue, is we'll sell some of our older trucks, as I'm sure many municipalities and all that do. So as the new ones come in, the older ones will go, the ones that were there will become reserve. It's always good to have an extra vehicle around just in case. Especially if we have some really rough storms, the trucks really do take a pounding. So,
The replacements, John.
Okay.
yes.
What's the turnaround on getting one of those? Is it a year, we've been
So
year plus, or?
we ordered 3 of them 2 years ago, roughly.
I forget there's so many.
Okay,
still
yeah,
outstanding.
we ordered 3 of them, I'm sorry, roughly 2 years ago, and we're still waiting for them, and there's no guarantee they'll be here for this, up until this year. So
Yeah, okay.
it's, now they're having a hard time getting
So
the
you're
actual
still waiting for
freighters.
3 of them, and you wanna add another 2? to that order.
We have some aging trucks, some trucks that were purchased right after the fire. And obviously, we bought them from an auction, so you're not replacing all 10 of them at once or trying to replace all 10 of them at once. So those trucks, the trucks from the fire that were lost, those are actually starting to come up for replacement.
So the ones you're still waiting for, the first group, are they leased or are we buying those, do you know? Rich?
I think there's gonna be financed,
Okay.
please, but.
We did, I think we got some on did we get some of those on ARPA last year?
I don't remember offhand, but you might have.
Okay.
Are these in addition to what we paid cash for out of ARPA funding?
Yes.
Yes.
These are additional.
The ones in the budget would be new replacements, yes.
And the plow trucks, Tom, you use them for other things as well, too?
Yes, the plow trucks also
Right.
can act as paving trucks, if they're, depends how they're equipped and what their need is for the route that they'll be plowing. So they can also double as either paving trucks or hauling trucks. So they're not just designed just to plow, and that's all
Yeah.
we use them for. We use them basically all year round.
Okay.
So hauling stone, we can be hauling brush, we can be hauling asphalt, and then obviously salt and plow, snow and ice.
Can you walk me through the fuel costs real quickly?
Sure.
So it looks like we're budgeting 426,000. It's on the bottom of page 205.
Yeah, but it'd be based on what I had done, so it should be there.
Sorry.
Fine. Yeah, it sounds like the right figure, I'm just double checking,
And then
but
where it says 2023 actual per 1 to 12, what does that number represent, sir? The
That's-
265,
that's what's actually been paid so far this year.
not based on use. That's not what we're going to use for the 12 months. That's just what we've been billed so far?
Right. Yeah, that's the actual payment
Actual
out the door
Okay,
for what we've been billed so far, correct?
gotcha. And I know I've asked this before, but is there anything, we're driving big vehicles. They only get a couple miles to a gallon. Is there anything that we could do, like behaviorally, practices that we could maybe minimize or change that would lessen how much these vehicles are driven other than to and from the point of actual work?
Lessen, it would all depend again on what the vehicle is assigned to, what type of crew it's assigned to. Obviously, our brush trucks, our sewer trucks, as I mentioned in the report, but our brush trucks, our sewer trucks, especially hauling asphalt to and from the plant to the job site, those have to run constantly, because obviously with the hydraulics and all that, unfortunately, it won't work with the vehicle off.
But they're only going to and from the job site
Or, like,
for any reason? A Vector truck,
yes.
only
So they'll
going
go
to
out,
and from
they'll
a job site?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
It would only be driving to and from a job site?
It'd be going to the job site, working, again, we'll call it one of the storm truck. So
Okay.
it'll be going to a job site, we'll say it's on Berry Road, or we'll say, trying to think of a road, Raleigh Road.
Okay.
So it's on Raleigh Road, it starts flushing the sewer lines. While it's flushing, obviously, if there's any large debris that comes back, we'll vector it out. So then that truck will drive back to the office, or back to the garage when their tasks are complete,
Yep,
and their day is done, and then obviously they clean the truck out, they park it, and that's it for the day.
okay. If that's how we're driving them, then
Yeah.
that should be good.
A lot of them, again, it all depends on their assignments. If they pull up to a job site, and let's say, they're patching roads, they'll unload, as soon as the truck pulls up, they'll raise up the box, they shut the truck off. So unless it's at a traffic point, obviously for the safety of our crew and all that, they try using some of the pickup trucks for that, especially with the emergency lights running, they can't run the lights without the vehicle running. Other than that, usually the dump trucks, same thing with the sidewalks and drainage.
It's all
They'll
good.
pull up, they'll shut it right off.
As long as we're not running any errands with those vehicles.
No, not as much, no.
Okay.
Not as much.
Yeah, as far as, no, I'm just kidding.
How is that managed, Tommy?
How's it managed? We have, the crew leaders are usually pretty good about that.
Okay.
The foremen who do kind of the oversight of it, but we also do have that GPS program that'll let us know if a vehicle is idling, where it's idling, how long it's been idling for. So we can address the crew and, hey, is this truck really needed to be running? Can you guys turn it off?
Perhaps the location of it.
And also, yes, the best part is the location.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kimmy, I'll just piggyback a little bit. So based on information to date, we're projected our fuel costs will still be under budget. The usage is about as expected. Charge back to the departments is about as expected. So, and we did our best to try to make it so the price of the fuel cost for next year, unless something goes haywire again, you know, we
Not that
kept
that
it the
could ever
same.
happen, but yep,
We kept it the same, so hopefully that'll work
understood.
for everybody. But this year, so far, like I said, everything's,
It looks good. That number
online,
looked
so-
really good to me, so thank you for verifying it. And I hope that moving forward, we can all just tighten one more buckle and really be thoughtful about where we're driving those vehicles. Thank you.
Okay. John, anything?
I'm good.
Peter?
I'm good.
Okay.
So moving on to the storm drainage fund. The storm drainage fund proposes an increase of 6% or $53,667 to the assessment. This represents a 39-cent per unit increase to the charge to the users. Revenue within this fund is limited. Expenditure increases of $51,786 are driven by the increases in salaries and benefits, as well as debt service for proposed drainage improvements contained in the capital improvement plan.
Mr. Albert?
So just a quick little fact, on July 25th, within 15 minutes, we had 1.08 inches of rain, and within 60 minutes, we had 1.9 inches of rain. So that just happened to fall that one day in that little time frame. So as far as stormwater, our static budget will continue with the operations and maintaining of stormwater inlets, town-wide maintenance, and outfalls. So that includes the storm truck, other trucks that can go around, clean off the catch basins. We'll work with getting the water off the road and then off the sides of the road. Stormwater inspection, mapping, and training will continue. The DPW will continue to be involved with the Monroe County Stormwater Coalition, including the updates and requirements to continue with our MS4 reporting. We'll continue to save funding to build a reserve in the event of a large storm system failure. So we had a little failure over on Brookview, which was immediately taken care of, and then a small one on Chadwell while we were trying to pave, and that was the same thing. That was also immediately resolved, as well as all the curbside drains were immediately inspected to make sure that there's no further damage.
Is there a line item for that money that's being budgeted towards emergencies, or is that what I see here for emergency main repair?
That's what's, yeah, in stormwater would be that account plus supplement it with contracted services money as
Okay,
needed.
if needed, because $2,000,
Not gonna do much.
no, it's not
No.
gonna do much. That's maybe not even gonna get us through one rain event.
Right.
And you're correct, Mr. Albert, it rains differently today.
Yes.
And it's going to continue to do so. So I think budgeting some money there and keeping that little savings account is imperative to the town's resiliency. So,
Tried.
thank you.
Thank you.
Plus the CIP, I think, has drainage.
Right, there is a CIP in the drainage, and we also did budget a $10,000 contingency
Oh,
within the fund.
Thank you. Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Thank you.
Tom, equipment, what do you got? Anything I see? As far as equipment, you just got like miscellaneous on here? For the,
That would be for specifically a mixer,
okay.
I think is like 6,000. And we normally try to budget 2,000 just for miscellaneous, like larger road saws or equipment that they need like that. So I believe it's the 6 for the
All right,
mixer.
so you added the
plus-
6 onto that for the mixer,
Right,
okay.
which Ron thought he had budgeted for last year but didn't, so
Yeah.
it's one of the few things that survived the final countdown here, so. And he's selling off the old one for 1,000, we estimated.
Okay.
In revenue.
Okay, Kimmy?
I think I'm good.
Okay, John?
I'm good.
Good, Peter?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the Consolidated Sewer District. The Consolidated Sewer District is proposing a decrease of $379,309 on the special assessment. This will result in a rate decrease to users of about 10.8%. Decreased expenditures of $501,000 result primarily from fewer equipment purchases in 2024. And the use of $250,000 of fund balance is proposed in the 2024 budget. Decreased revenue stems again from the lack of sale of equipment, which will not be repeated in 2024.
Okay, Mr. Albert?
Okay, what I need to add is just our static budget will be maintained. Funds will continue to maintain, repair, and upgrade sanitary sewers as needed, as well as some lining of our sewer lines to prevent any other type of infiltration into the ground, as well as some pump station maintenance and our normal routine repairs.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Can I ask about minding the sewer lines? So is this
Yep.
when you're taking something like a snake with blades on it down and clearing it out?
So lining the sewer lines would be, first thing they'll do is they'll go through with their root cutters, they'll actually clear the line, and we go through and we camera it. This is all done by our forces. We'll camera it, make sure there's no issues or whatever, and the lining is basically like a poly lining.
Yep.
So it'll go through, and as it hardens, it will cure, and then if we have if we do have to have a contractor do it, they'll actually go through, then they go through and they'll cut out all the sewer lines that go into it. So most of the stuff is done in-house, and it's done with a lot of lateral repairs that go from your house to the street. It's done there, but we also have the capability of fixing mainline sewers too, which is a huge significant savings to
Oh, it is, then
taxpayers.
digging it up and
To do everything
replacing.
ourselves is, yes.
Are we
not
doing the
digging up.
same thing with some of our storm laterals? that-
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yep.
I
Well,
noticed,
unfortunately, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just noticed next to a catch basin, a bunch of roots thrown on the side of the road. I don't know if it was the utility company working there or it was us, but somebody did it.
So we'll go through like our catch basins the same way, back to stormwater, and they'll remove the grade, they'll go through, they'll clean everything out, and if it is fractured or something that can be lined, we'd actually go through and do the same thing. We'll line them, which saves them money again in digging them up. It saves a lot in costs.
Can that polymer lining be used on brick and mortar or just on piped?
I think just on pipes.
Just on piped, so our brick and mortar
Mo-
we're stuck with.
Most of them are cast iron lines that go through, except for the corrugated pipes for the storm lines.
Gotcha, thank you.
But again, a lot of that stuff can be done in-house, which saves significantly.
Can I ask a not really budget-related question, Mr. Supervisor?
You're gonna ask whatever you need to ask.
So I'm wondering if there's anything that we could do to support our sewer crews and the DPW and help educate residents, and maybe we can empower the Conservation Board to help. But something as simple as check valves in a home where there's plumbing below grade, cleaning the catch basins, as I mentioned last week, out in front of your house, or if you don't want to clean it, notifying us that it's covered in debris. I'm just wondering if we could, especially here we are in the fall, do something to campaign with our residents to make stormwater not such an issue.
Sure, I'm sure with the social media, maybe hand out in our I'm trying to think of the book that goes out. But information that goes out to the public, and again, just to remind them to try and keep their storm drains clear, especially with the fallen leaves. One-
DPW's section of the activity guide?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
But something as simple as a check valve
Yep.
could really prevent a lot of damage for a lot of homeowners. And they probably, if that's not your wheelhouse, you don't even know what I'm talking about when I say, do you have one?
Correct. And that's another thing we can put out there is educational.
With a check valve, you won't have any problems, right?
Well, I mean, there's
In
always
theory,
the.
you shouldn't.
Right,
Yeah, you
there's
should. Not
always
with
the,
Now with a
Yes.
check valve,
But it
you
would
won't have
certainly-
anything coming back in the house, but I know that's something that people don't think of. I mean, you gotta hire a licensed plumber, dig up your sewer line, cut it in, tie it in. But yeah, I mean, if,
people don't know what they don't know. And I'm sure they would much rather proactively spend that money if you ask someone than have the experience of having sanitary coming up in their
Exactly.
basement.
That
like
could be
one
from
of
the
those
main
things-
backup, that could be from their own backup.
Yes.
There's all different things, especially when it comes up in your, your lower level toilets, your sinks,
Yes.
your showers and all that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I mean, if it happens once, you probably wanna do anything you can never to happen again, right?
Correct, yes, it's not a pleasant
No.
Well,
experience.
as it's continuing to rain in a very unusual way, and although I'm talking about rainwater and sanitary in the same sentence, it's because out in the universe, they do mix together and they push on one another and they cause these
Yes.
issues. So maybe we can think about that. Okay, I'm sorry I got sidetracked, Mr. Supervisor.
No, perfect. We do have the ability to get that information out to the public, so we should take advantage of it, so.
Especially the check valves are actually in the plumbing code.
Yes.
I've been speaking with our building department.
They are.
And actually, as a code, when I took the code enforcement and all that, that was one of the big things was the check valves, the plumbing inspections and all that to prevent any type of wastewater or stormwater, again, infiltrating into your basement or other areas. Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, John?
No, I'm good.
Yep. Peter?
I'm good.
Okay. You guys good?
Let Tommy finish up, I think.
Is there anything special on the Orland Road that you wanted to touch on, or?
Nothing I know of.
Okay. What's not a loaded question?
Oh, okay. Like, the road's actually in pretty good shape.
Oh,
There's a
you
pump
mean the
station at the end.
budgets there?
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
The budgets.
that's all.
Yeah.
They're just paying for the overtime for what was done back whenever that was.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I just may have a moment, please.
Yeah,
But on behalf of the DPW, and I just want to bring it up because this is kind of like a public, obviously, input, we'd like to thank the Supervisor Fitzpatrick, Director Vanette, and all the countless employees that reached out to us, reached out and assisted us during our unfortunate and saddened loss of Mr. Alan Kowalski. He was a dedicated employee and a great friend to us all. So thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts for all your efforts and everything you guys did to support us. And the DPW and the family really enjoyed the truck out, the funeral home and all that. That was really, really nice. So thank you so much for all that on behalf of the DPW.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, next up we have police. Go ahead, Diana. You ready, Chief? Diana will start you off.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right, so the police budget, which includes animal control, proposes an increase of 3.4% to the levy from last year, comprised of expenditure increases of approximately $697,000 and also revenue increases of $259,000. Within the police department, the line item for other public safety income is the largest increase in revenue, as the contract with Wegmans is now being budgeted for. It has not been in the past. Other revenues, including impound fees, auction receipts, and traffic safety grant, are also expected to increase. Expenditure increases in the salary and benefit lines of 4.4% represent the largest increase of expenditures. Equipment is also being proposed in the amount of $195,885. Within the animal control budget, a decrease of $8,316 is proposed within the supplies and services items, and a $5,900 increase in the salaries and benefit category. Revenues are also estimated to increase about 22%, which is about $3,400, with an increase in the licensing and kennel fees.
Okay, Chief? You have anything to add? Nothing?
No, sir.
Okay. Just looking back at kennel, we'll start with the animal control, which is starting with kennel fees, are we making sure now that we are collecting everything that we should be collecting on that now that it's over at the police department instead of the community development department?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have,
With our own kennels, we got
we got,
expenses and we should be,
yeah, we got 3 dogs in there right now.
Perfect.
So,
okay. All right.
I'm assuming these increases on things like the vest program for bulletproof vests is just because the cost of everything is going up.
yeah, we, quite frankly, our contract for any of our uniform services has been out of date for probably about a decade. So it's actually, things are going up, but it's really not, it's not out of,
It's not out of
yeah.
step. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Diana, you explained the Wegmans. It's in the budget now. Is that,
Correct. As the board knows, we have entered into a contract with Wegmans the past several years for security at the store. That has not been budgeted for in the past years, but it has been revenue coming in. The chief did reach out to Wegmans, and they did express an interest in renewing that contract. So it's only right to put that in the budget as a revenue source for the police department.
Thank you for your due diligence on that, Diana.
I'm just waiting for, I'm in contact with their regional security director, waiting for their law department to finish up the changes in the contract to update the increase in prices. And once it gets back to us, I'll have a resolution for it to be taken care of.
Are the dogs now in the budget? Is there anything budgeted for them?
There is, I think it's actually in the general fund, so I
Oh,
don't,
okay.
yeah.
That's why I'm not seeing it
Yes.
called out. Okay, thank you. But it's here.
I'm hoping.
Chief?
we'll change.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah, and with that, we do have a lot of donations
Right.
in the
Yeah.
waiting, and
Yep.
I
more-
just want to make sure
more.
that it's in the budget so when the
Yep.
donations wear out,
Oh,
it's
no.
not like
Oh, no, I've.
sneak attack.
I
Okay.
just took a very large one today.
Okay.
Waiting for a resolution, so.
Okay, thank you. All right.
and I think more and more are going to come through, so I'm optimistic on that. And
Awesome. Looks great.
the startup cost for that should almost be X'd out, right?
Well,
Just the
it's
maintenance of it will be the
Yeah, absolutely.
budgeted items, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be just small things. I mean, obviously, the day-to-day stuff that we,
Yep.
we have to get, but, there's a lion's share of the budget is gonna be, pretty much handled by these donations. So it's,
So we're talking K-9, right?
yes, sir.
How many dogs you looking?
I put in a proposed for 2. I'm hoping for that. If not, 1
Okay.
I would be quite happy with, so.
Yeah. 'Cause then you have to use that one dog for all,
Correct.
rather than have one on each shift would be probably ideal, I would think.
Yeah, ultimately, I would actually probably put them overlapping shifts.
Okay.
Probably like the most busy times, so not a regular traditional first platoon, second platoon, or third platoon. Probably like a 10 to 6 or a 6 to 2, so that we can overlap the busiest parts of our days.
So they're gonna have their hours worked, the dogs.
Oh, yeah,
They're gonna know.
absolutely. And
Are
they're
you having, is there interest from our police, from our staff to?
Yes,
Is
actually,
they in line? I mean,
I just got done scheduling our tryouts.
Okay.
Well, they've been scheduled for a couple weeks. Everybody has submitted their specials or
Okay.
what they're gauging their interest.
Yep.
So we actually have 7, including a sergeant that I'm going to allow to try out. Obviously, it was open for officers, but if I actually have a chance for 2, I might have
Yeah.
a built-in supervisor that I
Sure.
could actually have at work.
Awesome.
And it's, so it's going to be a long day. Next Friday is going to be a long day for them, so.
well, this is good to know, because I don't think people really know we're getting involved and doing this yet, you know what I mean? So it's
Well,
good.
we had the resolution, but yeah.
But I mean, we're getting going.
Yep.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean, we're getting going with it and stuff, so that's good.
Oh, yeah, I foresee the dogs being the rock stars of the town.
Yeah, oh, sure. Until you start bringing them out, then people are gonna realize we have, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah,
Up to
it's-
now, so that's good. Good to hear.
Everything we've heard though has been nothing but positive.
Sure.
And really, I mean, all the residents are absolutely like, oh my God, it'll be great to have him back.
Yeah.
So,
It's been a while.
I think it hits on so many different areas, community engagement,
Sure.
deterrent.
yep.
I think there's a great article just recently in the paper with one of the towns that a canine played a major role in solving a crime and major crime. So
They're such an amazing tool, and it's, just having one would be phenomenal, but actually having two would be, beyond the world. And
Yeah.
it's
Awesome.
they're just such an intuitive animal, and if you actually have a good canine handler and his partner, it's a team that's
Yeah.
almost unstoppable.
Well, I'm glad to hear that there's so much interest. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
anyone else?
No, it's-
Peter?
No, I'm good.
Okay. John?
Just one question. We spoke, there is an academy December, is it,
Yes.
Chief?
Yes.
And what are we putting in? How many are we putting in?
We have actually two candidates.
Okay.
I actually have, we've already sent out basically a reservation letter, an offer letter to one individual. Waiting for the law department to finish up just reviewing our background check
Okay.
for the second candidate. That will actually be going out as soon as I get that word. And I also have, right now, 3 laterals that are interested in coming here. So I'm anticipating a retirement in early January. So that will, with another personnel matter, that should, be able to fill our ranks.
Okay, and then the three we had in the academy,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Obviously, they've been through their FTO and they're on their own right now.
Yeah, they're doing great. Actually,
Okay.
every one of them have excelled. They're all out on their own, and
Good.
yeah, they're doing an awesome job.
All right, very good. Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Great job.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good job, Chief.
All right. We will take a, you want to take a break now?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll take a small break and start
time.
up with HR afterwards. With HR?
So the 2024 Human Resources budget represents a decrease of 4.21% to the tax levy. Salaries decreased with the removal of a part-time clerk, and services decreased by 13.37%. And those decreases are offset by an increase in benefits of 15.96%.
Okay, Jason?
Okay. My initial budget request included the addition of a full-time benefits specialist, and that would be funded in part by the removal of the part-time payroll clerk. Without that full-time benefits specialist in the budget, this would represent a cut to the personnel line and human resources, and that is about the only major change here.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments? Jason, are we putting that $100,000 into the budget? From
Yes,
yes.
the dental reserve,
Yep.
that'll be spread across all funds, though.
Okay, that's fine.
Where the
Okay.
expenses were.
Okay. No questions? John?
I don't see too much in here.
Okay.
Copier expenses went up, you're not getting a plotter, are you?
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll move on to comptroller.
So the comptroller's budget is a decrease of 11% or $38,721 to the levy. The decreased expenses result from decreased services, primarily the removal of the software licensing from the comptroller's department to the IT department, and also a reduction of staffing. We have a position that is retiring in January. I'm proposing to make that a part-time position. With the new software that we are getting, a lot of our systems will be automated. So we may be able to reduce staffing in the office. This may be a good time to look at it. I'm requesting to keep the account clerk part-time to help with the transition through 2024. And other than that, we have an increase in the audit budget, which is per the contract that we just, that the town board just approved.
Okay. Any questions or comments? So new software will be streamlining, making it easier for you guys.
And the cost of it goes to somebody else's department. What could be better, right? The software cost goes to another department, right? What could be better? That's a beautiful thing. Well done.
Okay.
So the next would be the general unallocated revenue and expenses. So the general revenue estimates for 2024 are increasing just over 12%, just slightly north of $1 million. The pilot payments are decreasing by 9% as pilot agreements have ended. The largest increase in the unallocated revenue stems from the sales tax, which I did propose a 17.5% increase, which is more in line with the two previous years. And then as far as the general expenses go, they do have a large increase also of $574,000. The primary factor of this increase is the ambulance contract, which went into effect in 2023, so it was not in the part of the original 2023 budget. Other than that, there are also increases for printing services for the new Irondequoit publication.
Okay, any questions or comments?
There's certainly a level of comfort here to see that Irondequoit ambulance, or the ambulance line item that's now budgeted, that just is a little more predictable. I know it's going to change in the future, but it's here.
Yeah, and if you follow anything online or in the news, you can see what other towns are going through right now.
Yes.
And it's pretty scary. So, this is a necessary change in the environment we live in right now. So we're hoping the state makes some much-needed changes. It's been sitting, in the Assembly or the Senate for a long time here. So, but until then, this guarantees our residents get an ambulance when it's called, and it comes, fairly quickly. So, a much needed service, and we have a good one, an Irondequoit ambulance here in town.
Thank you.
Okay.
Move on to street lighting.
Yeah, I didn't see anything else in there.
The general street lighting expenses are expected to decrease by about 12% due to the new street lighting, the LED. We've been seeing a reduction, and also we don't have the cost to RG&E. I used to call it a rental fee, but it's a maintenance fee, I guess, to RG&E. And the lighting districts combined are also looking at a combined decrease of 19.8% again due to the lighting upgrade.
This is really exciting, and this is on par with what we planned for and worked for to make this happen. So it's great to see it realized. Thank you.
Plus, I do think the quality of the lighting is a lot better on most of the streets, and, I think there's it's more deliberate dispersion of the light,
Yep.
Less light spill and everything. I think, in general, it was a win-win.
Okay. Is that it for? Okay.
Okay, so the attorney budget is proposed to increase by 2.68%. This estimate is based on the current services being provided by the town attorney.
Okay, any questions or comments on the attorney line?
Nope.
Go ahead, Peter. You're giggling.
We assume this would go down if lawsuits would go down?
That would be awesome.
Again, it's based on current services,
Right.
so whatever the town has
Yeah, we're
going on
currently
is what
spending a few
we have to
lawsuits,
estimate
so
based on.
That's fair, Peter. That's definitely fair.
The supervisor's budget is increasing by $41,743,000. The difference is primarily due to the increase of staff and benefit costs with the addition of a DEI officer, which has been added to the comptroller's office. And Jason can correct me if I'm wrong, there's also a proposal in the budget to increase the supervisor's salary. I believe it's 2.5%, Jason?
3% in line with the other COLA raise.
And would this be reoccurring? No, it's just a.
That's something we should talk about as well.
I think so too, because it's kind of awkward to have to talk about it. But if it was just automatically reoccurring, like it does in so many other universes, I think it would make more sense. John had some great ideas about this.
I think too that looking at the numbers and just our some of our departments and stuff, that I personally think that the supervisor's number is grossly, it needs to be bumped up. I mean, we can't have, he's a supervisor, the person that, not he, the supervisor, should be paid. I compare it to other towns. I mean, we're the second largest town in Monroe County. We have, so I think that, the adjustment to the supervisor's salary should be at least 3%. It's where it is now to go over. The other thing is maybe we put a cost in there every year. So, it, like, Councilwoman Romeo said, it's kind of, you get uneasy trying to ask for raises all the time, but if we put something in there that we increase it, yearly.
At least for a number of years, and I don't know how it's done. I've kind of looked at what some other towns are doing, so maybe you could say at least for the next 4 years or 5 years or what a typical contract would run for, that you're going to have that 3% annual increase. It just makes sense. And I agree with Councilman Perticone that the leader of the community, the leader of the town, should most certainly have a salary that reflects that. Other department heads really shouldn't be making more money
And
than
I
the
compare
supervisor.
other supervisors in Monroe County as well, too.
They make
With smaller
more.
towns. It's a big,
Yep.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I think all the reasons you're expressing is why it's sort of depressed, right? This 3% wasn't, asked for by the supervisor.
no.
It's something I put in to make it equal
Yeah.
with the other ones. And that's going to happen, right? The supervisor's not going to ask for a raise.
Right.
So I think it's up to the board to,
Sure.
whether it's through legislation or whatever we have to do, because it's an annual budget, right? It'll have to be approved every year. But it's good to have this talk and find a way to do that long term.
Awesome. Any thoughts, Peter?
I feel like the supervisors should be compared, commensurate with other markets, and I know that our supervisor's salary's been depressed for quite a while, and, I think it's a full-time plus job, and there's a lot with it, and I think it should be adjusted as necessary, and if 3% isn't adequate, then we should do it for more at the time we're talking about it now.
So, I looked at the numbers, 3% would, we'd have to see what that comes out to, and if that's something we want to put a little more just for this. But I think a yearly thing, and we don't have to revisit this all the time, just automatically, because, employees.
I just don't know how we would do that, other than, because, it's a budget item.
We
We could
probably
go-
will.
Yeah.
Still have to look at it. So is it possible so that we don't have to send Diana back to reconfigure the universe? I notice on the next page that there's a slight increase for the town board. I would be more than willing to push that into the supervisor's increase, particularly for this year. I think that would be a very responsible thing to do. So if I'm peeking ahead,
I'm technically
Diana-
not averse to that either, but just like when Amy came before us last night, I'm not really, robbing Peter to pay Paul is not necessarily,
No, but we could do it for this year until we can come up with a plan to sort of get that position of supervisor back on track.
With all due respect, the amount that we pay a town board member, even times 4, I don't think it's
He's
going to
saying
have
we're
a
not
large
worth it. What are you
impact.
saying?
if you give us the 3% raise, it's like $100.
It's a couple hundred.
I
but
look
it's-
forward to that
Go very far.
$298 check. Gosh darn it. All right. Well, then, how challenging would it be if we said we really want to come out at 5 or we want to come out at 7? Are we going to tip you upside down?
We can look at the numbers, and if that's what the board wants, we can
Yeah,
definitely
I
make it
think
work.
so. Well, and then we'll have to, when we add 5 or 7%, we gotta know what,
Seven.
Seven.
I'm just saying
We're
7.
saying 7. Are we on agreement with 7? Yeah,
I'm
let's see
fine
if
with
Diana
7.
can do some magic at 7.
And then let us know what that number is.
Yep.
Because I don't know right off the top of my head what 7% would put it at. Then I could still compare it with other towns, because I did some research to find out what other town supervisors are making, so.
I think at 10, we're still going to be under. But
Oh, I think
yes,
so.
Then go
At
ahead and look.
7%,
So
I think
let's
so,
start
too.
at 7.
So it's 7% to this year's salary, just to make sure. Okay, just make sure I'm on.
Thank you. You're so awesome to us, by the way. It's over
She's
there on
good,
the
isn't she?
calculator.
Okay.
I like when my wife is knitting, she finds she makes a mistake way back, she rips it all out, and she's like, it's just more knitting. For you, it's just like more math, right?
I mean, hypothetically, if we wanted to, if we talked about it, could we put like a cost of living increase or
Sounds like
something?
we can't really do that. It
You know,
sounds
well,
like
that's
we're
why I'm
gonna have
asking.
to revisit it every year.
So
because
every
it's
year,
an
we're gonna have to
annual budget.
revisit this,
Yep.
no matter
I mean, there's
what.
pros and cons to it. Automatic 3% may be good or bad in any one
Right.
particular instance, and
Because we're kind of looking at 7 right now, and so who knows what the lay of the land will be in the future.
I know in past budgets, we've not given the supervisor,
Oh, yeah, I know.
Correct.
and many,
Oh, I
Correct.
remember the big
Budgets.
jump in 2009, I think it was a big jump, because it was grossly underpaid.
Yeah.
And we gave a big, and we had, we were at a catch-up point, and we don't want to keep doing that.
Right.
You
You have a
know,
number for us?
yeah.
So the 7% on top would increase the salary by 6664 to be exact, and 21
Which is
cents.
still-
So it's about a $6,600 increase.
It's something.
Yeah.
It's not ginormous.
No.
But it's
Diana.
definitely a start.
Diana, that's off of the current 2023 though,
From the
correct?
current, right.
Yep.
So it's only 3,808 more than we currently have in the budget.
So that'll be,
Yeah,
All
we
right.
had an increase, we're
payroll
adding to
taxes.
that, which is.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's not gonna upside down anything.
No.
I mean,
think
we
it's
know,
definitely
I
a
mean,
start.
that's like, it seems so small.
It's small.
I agree. Well, we're having this conversation now.
I know.
I hear 7. Do I hear 8?
Well, I don't know. I know what I'm trying to figure out, I know what the number is, and then I'm trying to add another, 3,800 to it. It's over 6 figures, right?
Just.
Right? It's still grossly underpaid, as far as I'm concerned.
A 7% adjustment puts the salary at 101,867.
That's a great start.
I'm,
John,
Yeah, you okay with it?
I'm good.
You okay with it? Mm-hmm. All right.
next year we'll go 10.
Yeah, next year we,
Okay, town board?
Sorry for this
now they're
awkward
grossly,
moment.
they're grossly underpaid.
What figures do you have for the town board, John?
Oh, boy.
Oh, I can't. It's self-survey now. I gotta stay out of this one. Barb, why don't you say?
Yeah.
Throw a number out there, Barb. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I like what I do.
Yep, I agree. Not here for the paycheck,
No.
so that looks great.
And again, I talk about this every year. People also have to include your benefit package too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, our benefit package is a good amount of money. It is. I always when I worked, that's what we dealt with: benefit package and rates. You combine the two, and a lot of people don't get that. Yeah, you're making money, but you add your benefit package onto that. Sometimes it's another 20-30% on your wages, maybe even more. So it's sometimes so. We talk about that. Yeah, benefit packages included. A lot of them are very well compensated with a benefit package. So that's it. I'm not. I'm staying put on this one. I'm okay.
Okay, next. That's it? We're done?
What about our favorite,
Seabreeze?
Seabreeze
Water District.
oh, I didn't prepare anything for that. but the
Uh-oh,
Sea-
I'm sorry.
That's okay. The Seabreeze Water District is a self-sufficient entity within the town. So there's usually no net effect or no effect to the tax levy. However, they do have an issuance, a borrowing for the Seneca Road water project. So the only thing they're legally able to levy is the debt service, which is $42,095, I think, this year, which will be levied to the taxpayers in the district.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that
Thank you.
concludes our budget workshop meeting of 10:19. We do have a special town board meeting on Monday at 4 o'clock. Nope, 4:30.
4:30. Thank you for accommodating me.
Yeah, no problem. And then we have Tuesday, our last budget meeting before the public input. So also on Tuesday, we will have information for the public. There's an extreme amount of misinformation out there. Facebook facts, which are anything but facts.
Well said.
So we will give as much information as we possibly can to explain how the budget works, how levy works, and how our rate works, and the impact, so that people that want to be informed and actually want to hear the facts will be able to, and we'll also get that onto our website and social media after that. So I think it's important in this time of misinformation, and like I said, Facebook facts, that we get this out. We're able to educate our residents as much as we possibly can, as much as they're willing to learn. So we'll get a nice breakdown, simplify it, and explain how all levels do. Where our budget comes, there seems to be a lot of confusion of percentages, and also school tax and other and set assessment type impacts that do and don't exist. So we'll get all that information to everybody Tuesday before the meeting, and we will be posting that on all our social media as well as our website to make sure that everybody's informed. And I just want to thank each department head with this budget. We've seen a major increase in prices throughout our country over the last few years, and what we've done in this town over the last 2 to 3 years with our levy and our rate and our budget is nothing short of impressive. So our department heads have had to make massive sacrifices in some areas to make sure that we as a town are keeping our part of the taxes here in New York State down. So I commend each one of them for the work that they put into this budget. Obviously, Diana, amazing job again this year, and it's been challenging, but it's been great to see our employees and our staff make the sacrifices to keep our town and be responsible for our taxpayers. So again, Tuesday we will have a breakdown so everybody knows, and everybody can take that information for what they want at that moment. So this concludes our meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, this meeting has been adjourned.